Hello and welcome to another Overlord lore video, and today we are going to take a look at something that most of you will be shocked to know actually exists. Ainz Ooal Gown's true master plan. One that he had built upon ever since the second season. One that even his floor guardians failed to understand. Project Utopia. But before we're going to take a look at all of this, let's take a look at my Patreons and thank them for supporting this channel. Also thanks to all users of the YouTube thanks function who made one-time donations. And lastly, please check out my other channel. Link to it is in the description. Now with that said, let's take a look at what Project Utopia even is. Well, it all started in the bonus story, the giant sealed evil tree, where after Ainz Ooal Gown and his floor guardians defeated this gigantic bonsai over here, he invited trans and dryads, whom he had befriended before, into the 6th floor of Nazarick in order to live there peacefully and in harmony with the denizens of the Great Tomb. Now the floor guardians had other ideas, because they simply failed to understand that Ainz Ooal Gown meant what he said, and thought it all to be a sinister and insidious scheme to make outsiders trust the Great Tomb of Nazarick, only for it to later betray their trust, spring this trap, and conquer all there is. And it is no wonder that the floor guardians fail to understand and comprehend this complex and layered plan, because it isn't there. Ainz Ooal Gown is genuine about this idea. And later when Cocytus begged Ainz Ooal Gown for the Lizard Man's life at the start of the second season, or in book 4, they too were invited to build their own little settlement in the forest on the 6th floor, called the Green Hole, because the settlement is a clearing in the otherwise dense jungle that covers much of the floor. It became a place where many species now coexisted. Later the lizardmen were under Cocytus's command also formed into a single united tribe and led to conquer their neighboring toadmen of the much bigger lake. And they too were well treated, since the Great Tomb provided food, until Sarayusu's fish farm could feed the entirety of the lizardmen and the toadmen population. And later, in a scene that had been really cut short in the 4th season, Ainz Ooal Gown wanted to transform the entirety of the Sorcerer Kingdom into a utopic place, a nation of peace and plenty. And he started this by removing the pauper district within Irantel. This slum had been also briefly mentioned during the 3rd volume, where it is shown how Zack became a bandit, and how the entire district is basically a hotbed of crime and corruption. And in this flashback, the guy had even run in with Clementine, and survived, because both were too short on time to start anything. And Ainz used the population by resettling them. Specifically, he repopulated all of the villages that had been burned down during the false flag attack of the Theocracy Sunlight scripture, all the way back in the 1st novel. This was also something that the anime had left out entirely, and since these villages organically grew and were originally able to support their population without any aid, they were already in the right spot to now support their new people. But Ainz Ooal Gown, in order to ensure that the population not only survives but thrives there in these new settlements, eased the hard labor that is farming by giving them undead workers that would then be commanded by the villagers in order to do simple, physically taxing and repetitive labor for them. This was also something that Fluda Paradane had worked on, and it had been shown both in the novels and in the anime, where skeleton workers worked on a small patch of land. But in the 10th novel, Ainz Ooal Gown went far beyond simple skeletons and also outfitted them with a small numbers of Death Knights and Soul Eaters, undead even beyond Fluda Paradane's control. And you can imagine how such a Death Knight could break up the earth, and how Soul Eaters could drag even the heaviest of plows with ease. And speaking of Soul Eaters, in the novels, they were also shown as transport animals, pulling carts and coaches. And remember, aside from a small fee Ainz Ooal Gown charges, none of these undead cost the user anything, neither food, water, nor wage. They are basically like robots without the need for spare parts and electricity. This in turn led, together with the renewed trade the 8 Fingers provided, to an incredible increase in food production. And after the Empire became a vassal state of the Sorcerer Kingdom, the Sorcerer Kingdom had also access to all of their lands and woods for that matter. And speaking of woods, with the extremely powerful undead out patrolling the streets, even the most remote roads were now safe to travel. Attacks by brigands were now non-existent, because thanks to the undead, brigands were non-existent. Also crime in general, and violent crime in particular, went down dramatically, since no one dared to stand against the undead. And the Forest of Top, once extremely dangerous, even to experienced adventurers and powerful human magic casters, has also now been pacified, and the settlement of demi-humans and heteromorphs there had been firmly integrated into the wider Sorcerer Kingdom. And with Luda Paradane's aid, for he had actually been offered a job in Ainz Ooal Gown's administration, which is very well run by the way, thanks to the undead bureaucrats, mostly elder liches. The detection and production of magic items were now also handled expertly, and thanks to the Empire's subjugation, the Sorcerer Kingdom now had also access to a trade network reaching all the way into the Minotaur Kingdom, where fridges and fans are produced with the aid of magic. So at the end of the first third of Season 4, Ainz Ooal Gown's Sorcerer Kingdom was rich in wood, food, and somewhat cheaper magic items, and had extremely high internal security, as well as an efficient bureaucracy. And what will be added on top of all of this will be the topic of the second part of the video, which I will release probably at the end of Season 4, in order to avoid spoilers. But for today this is it, and I say thank you very much for watching, and special thanks to Bad Guy Yee, Bad Burrito 316, Beezer, Ben C, Brandon D, Chrissy, Crowley0221, Sia, Dead Slime, Death is Mercy, Deathless Dragonlord, Demon Xenomorph 1987, Devin Downen, Ding Dong, Duckwagon, Dystopia, Dystopia II, Enigmatic Unicorn, Theral Shivan, Guy with That Head, Hector Marino, Hoss, Huster, Jacob G, Jana B, Jason, Chromius, Legendarius, Lelouch Britannia with a Mustache, Lexus Fox, Lord Nishikian Rai, Lord Touch Me, Merovec, Mr. Shoes, Mr. Tweaker, Michael R, Michael Y, Normal Toad, O'Kill, Overlord General Gasper, Paddy Pantum, Per Sonich, Primus 11, Shergox's Daddy, Shadow Lightning Wolf, Shrine Keeper, Staris, Ted, Texas Deer, The Orc Warboss Rock Ed Smasher, T.E. Wang, Vash Hawkeye, Vegito 27, Venture Fanatic, Wilhelm, and Zonegon. Thanks guys. Anyway, have a nice day and I hope to see you all again soon on my next video.